Welcome back guys. In the previous video we saw what are arrays in C. Today we will learn about a special kind of array in C programming. We are going to discuss strings in C, which are essentially sequences of characters. Now strings are widely used for text manipulation and they are unique in C because they are represented as an array of characters terminated by a special null character. We'll explore how strings are stored in memory, the difference between character arrays and character pointers, and some key functions for handling strings. So let's get started. Now in C, a string is actually an array of characters terminated by a special character called as the null character. So what is a array? What is a string? It is an array of characters terminated by a null character. Okay, that is 0. Now, this null character, it marks the end of a string in memory. And C treats strings as an array of characters rather than a separate string object. Now, for instance, let us take the example of a string hello. Okay, so in C, this is stored as an array of 6 characters, which are H, E, L, L, O. And at the end, we will have a null character. Just give me a second. Yeah, we will have a null character. This terminates the end of the string. Okay, this means that any string in C is just really a sequence of characters with a null character at the end. Now we can look at this in the diagram. Now here a string, like I said, is an array of character. So character string, and it will have a size. Okay, in this case it is 12 as you've seen above. I have taken this picture from an online tutorial. So what is happening here is that whenever we define or declare a string in memory, that much space is allocated to that particular array. In this case, since a character is of 1 byte, so in the memory we'll have 12 bytes which will be allocated for this particular string and at a particular address. Now each address signifies 1 byte, that is 1 character in a string. Now let us have a look at what are string constants. Now a string constant, also known as a string literal, is any text enclosed in double quotes. Okay, I'll just highlight this rather than mark it with a pen. A string constant or a literal is any text enclosed in double quotes. Now, for example, when we write hello in this way, enclosed by double quotes, what we are doing is we are creating a string constant that is stored as a read-only section of memory. So it has only read permission. In C, string constants are usually stored in program's memory. So trying to modify a string constant can cause unexpected behavior or even crashes. So how do we define a string constant? Very simple. We can just define a character pointer, str, and we'll give it the string, that is hello. So this is how we usually define string constants. Here str points to the read-only memory location holding the text hello. Okay, so modifying this constant is like this is basically a common mistake and it can lead to undefined behavior. So if you need modifiable strings, it is better to use a character array than a string pointer. We will see in detail what is a character array and a string pointer. They are basically the same things, but a string pointer is usually used to define a string constant. So first let us see how to declare strings in C. I won't erase this, so sorry. So how do we declare strings in C? So there are few different ways to declare strings in C. And there are basically two different ways, which I spoke about just some few seconds ago. The first way is to use a character array and initialize it directly. So how do we do that? We will define a character array, str, and we will specify the size of the string, and then we will give the string, okay, the sequence of characters. This is how I can declare a string using a character array. And another way which I can declare a string is by using a pointer to a string constant. So I will use a character pointer and here I will define a string constant. Now in this case, what is happening here is, in the second case, str points to the start of a string constant stored in read only memory. Hence we cannot modify this. This cannot be modified. Whereas in the above example, here the str, the string hello, is an array of 6 characters terminated by a null character which is stored in memory. And C automatically adds this null character at the end, so we don't need to include it manually. So let's see this with the help of an example. So what I will do here is, I will define two strings. Char str 6 equal to hello, and I'll define another string char star, this is character pointer, str2 is equal to hello. Now let's print both the strings. Now in order to print a string, we'll use the format specifier %s. Okay, this is how we print strings, and you just give the name, that is a pointer. Same for the second one, that is a string constant, str1, sorry 2. Let's go ahead and run this program. So as you can see, I just forgot the \n, the new line character. Now let's again compile and run it. So as you can see, this is how these are two ways of declaring strings in C. Now let us see what's the difference between a character array, which is also a string, and a character pointer, which is a string constant or a string literal. So the main difference between these two is that a character array is basically an array with a fixed size, okay, that holds each character of the string, and this allows us to modify the string if needed. Whereas on the other hand, a string pointer, like we saw in the example, we only store the address of the read only string constant, okay, and this cannot be modified. So if you need to change the content of a string, it is always better to use a character array. Let's see if we can do that. So let's say I want to change the second character of this string, okay, using in the character array. So I will say that str1 is equal to, I will give a single character. So instead of hello, it will print hello. Okay, can you see this? Now let's try to change the second element or the second character in the other string. Let's see what does my compiler give. So this is a string constant. If we try to compile and run this, as you can see, my program has crashed or it's not functioning. So something has gone wrong here, right? So this is what happens when I try to modify a string constant, basically a read-only memory location. So I cannot write to this memory. So that's the difference between a character array string and a string constant using a character pointer. Now let's go ahead and see how can we print a string. So we have already seen this, how to print a string, but again I'll go through it. So to work with strings, we often use two functions. That is, we can use the printf function or the puts function. So there are two functions which we can use to print, two functions to print a string, that is printf and puts. Okay, so let's see an example using printf and puts, okay, which allows us to print a string. So as we've already seen here, let's take the same string again. I will give my name here and I will say hello, my name. Okay, so str, okay, the number, now see this, I have assigned more characters than the actual size of the string. So in this case, I will have to give my string by the character array a bigger size. So let's give it a size of 20 characters, and let's compile and run this program. So hello dark cipher. So let's try the other function, which is putS. Now putS on the other hand simply prints a string and adds a new line at the end automatically. Whereas in printf, if I want a new line, I will have to use the new line character. So let's try to use the putS function. Okay, sorry, just a small spelling mistake here. Yeah. Let's compile and run. So you can see it print the name. So the only difference between printf and putS is that putS simply prints a string and adds a new line at the end automatically. And the percentage or the percentage s, it acts as a placeholder to print the string name in using the printf function. Now, one thing about strings is that unlike other languages like Python and all, C doesn't provide operators like plus or equality for string manipulation. So you can't add, compare, or assign strings directly as you would do with integer values. So for example, let's say if we want to compare two strings, okay, if we compare two integer values, what do we do is int a, int b, we can compare them. But I cannot do this with strings. Okay, I cannot say name1 and name2. This doesn't actually compare the actual content of two strings. It just compares their addresses. So in this case, what we want to perform won't actually happen. So let's see if this is possible. Okay, let's try to write a code for this. So let's say I defined two strings, char name1 equal to dark and char name2 also equal to dark. Now both these strings have equal values. So let's see if we can compare them using the comparison operator. So if name1 equal to name2, what we'll do is we'll print they are equal. Printf names are equal. Else what we'll do? So let's compile and run this and see what do we get. Printf, I'll compile, let's run this. So as you can see, we got the value not equal. Although both the strings are the same, but actually in using strings in C, we cannot actually use operators. So if I want to compare, I will have to find another way to compare these two strings. But thankfully in C, we have some libraries that allow us to do these operations. And these libraries just contain the code for comparing two strings. Now they may use different functions which use for loops and all. We won't be going into that today. We'll be just seeing how to use these functions. But before that, let us see how we can use pointer arithmetic with strings. Okay. So we've seen pointer arithmetic with arrays in the previous video. So if you all missed that, I recommend you all please learn about what are arrays first and then jump onto strings. So those who have seen, let's go ahead. Now since a string is essentially an array of characters, we can also use pointers to traverse each character in a string. Now pointer arithmetic is very useful for iterating to strings without using an array index. Okay, so let's define a string here. Char name equal to dark. Now if I don't mention the size here, what it will do is it will automatically take this count the characters which are in the string. Okay, so not necessary to mention the size always. And I will define a pointer, a character pointer that will point to this name. Okay, and as you all know, the identity or the name of an array is actually the address of the first element in an array. So in the case of a string, this name will point towards the first element, that is D. So using this, let's see how we can traverse through a string. So while we'll dereference the pointer not equal to, remember a string always terminates with the null character. So unless we don't reach the null character, what we'll do is we will print each and every character of the string. Percentage C is the character format specifier. Okay, so I will dereference it, I will print it, and then I will increment the pointer. Okay, I will increment it. Let's go ahead, compile and run it. So as you can see, this is another way which I can print a string. Now let us look at some functions using which we can manipulate strings in C. And these functions are present in the string.h library. So if you want to use these functions, we'll have to import them. So include string.h. Now, just an overview of the functions. The functions which we'll be seeing here today are string length, which returns the length of a string, string copy, which copies one string to another, string cat, that is concatenates two strings, and str compare, that is used to compare two strings. So we will see how to use these functions. Okay, so in order to use these functions, we will import or will include the string.h header file. So let me define a string here, and let's find the length of this string. So int len is equal to strlen. This gives me the length of a string, and here I will print the length. Let's go ahead, compile and run it. So as you can see, the length of the string is 4. Now let us copy one string to another string. So what I'll do is I will declare an array called name2, and I'll give it a size of 20 bytes, that is 20 characters. And let us copy this string into this array and let's print it. So for this we can use the function string str copy, and first I will give the destination, that is where I want to copy it, and then I will give the source, that is from where I'll be copying. And here what I will do is I will print the string. %s and name2. Let's compile and run this code and see if it works. As you can see, I can copy one string to another using the string copy function. Now let's see if we can concatenate two strings. So I will create two strings here. I'll create another name, dark cipher. Let's leave a space here, and let's use the string cat function, cat. This will concatenate two strings together. Okay, so I'll concatenate name2 to name1, and I will print name1. Sorry, I'll print the first name. Let's go ahead, compile, run this, and as you can see, using string cat function we can concatenate two strings. And let's have a look at the last function which we tried before using the equality operation, but which did not happen. So what I can do here is I will try to use the string compare function to compare two strings. So strcmp, I will compare name1 to name2. Okay, so let's call this name1, and if they are equal to 0, so remember one thing, if two strings are equal, this function will return 0. So if they are 0, what we'll do is we'll printf strings are equal. If they are not equal, what they will do is we'll put an else condition, printf not equal. So let's give these strings both the same name. So as you can see, strings are equal. Let's try to just put this in lowercase. Even in lowercase, this will say they are not equal. Like as you can see, they are not equal. Okay, So each of these functions provide a way to perform common operations on strings, which we saw today, from getting the length of a string to copying and concatenating strings. Now keep in mind that strings in C require explicit handling and are not as automatic as in some other languages. This is one thing you should always remember. And that's our look at strings in C. And today we have covered how strings are represented as array of characters with a null terminator, and the difference between character arrays and character pointers, which is a string constant, and printing strings with functions like printf, putS, and also some other important functions by using the library string.h. Now, working with strings in C require a bit more attention, but once you understand the basics, you can handle text in your program with ease. So thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more C programming content. In the next video, we'll dive into even more advanced concepts where we'll see what is a pointer to a pointer, and also we will see what are function pointers. So that's all for today. Thank you and have a great time.